Welcome to today's 5 Good Minutes on the 10 Commandments. Today we'll be considering the 7th commandment with Kurt Bjorklund.
Today we move to the 7th commandment, you shall not commit adultery. Simple, straightforward words. I can tell you this, in over 3 decades working as a pastor, there are few conversations that I've had that have been more painful than sitting with couples where there's been infidelity. The betrayal, the hurt, the hardship. And usually it isn't something that somebody starts out and says, you know what, I think I'm going to betray somebody that I once pledged my love to, who was closest to me, who has been faithful to me, and I'm going to hurt them and cause my kids to resent me and cause pain and financial devastation in my life. You know, I think I'll do that today. Rarely does anybody wake up like that. Usually what happens is there's some pain in the marriage. There's a sense of feeling a little abandoned, and then there's somebody else who pays attention to them. And they say, this feels good, and I want to experience what it feels like to really be loved and celebrated once again. And so people step outside their marriage in pursuit of this. And I start with this account or realization simply because one of the first things that any of us needs to do if we are going to keep this command is rehearse the cost of breaking the command. Recognize what it costs people. If you're looking for a way just to rehearse this in the Bible, if you read Proverbs 5, Proverbs 7, there are just some significant statements. If you go back in the 5 Good Minutes podcast log, there's a week on Proverbs 5, a week on Proverbs 7, very helpful thoughts in those chapters of the Bible. But we need to be able to say, this is something that I do not want. Because when you're in the throes of feeling maybe a little less than pursued or celebrated, and then somebody pursues and celebrates you, the allure of it becomes almost intoxicating. And so we want to just start by saying this is a good and right command of God that is for the good of society, and it's for the good of the individuals. God's standard is good. So even though this may seem archaic, it may seem dated to some of us, the truth of the matter is this is good and right and beautiful. And part of how you know this is good and right and beautiful is because in every culture, what is it that we actually celebrate? It's people who have stayed committed. I mean, just think about it this way. I know the movies sometimes glamorize people who step out of their marriage or simply say, I need something other than my marriage. But if somebody cheats on their spouse and then hooks up with somebody else, gets together with somebody else, and then cheats on that person, and then does it a third time, do you think, oh, that's awesome? Like even just for yourself, even if they upgraded, so to speak, every time, what you think is, no, what I want is I want to be with somebody and I want that love to endure. And it's in our songs, it's in the scriptures, it's in literature, the beauty of a couple that can say we have stayed together through thick and thin, and we have weathered the storms and found a way to love one another for a lifetime. That is God's ideal, and that is part of why he states, I believe, the negative command. Don't commit adultery. This is one of the big 10. Understand how tempting it is. And I've seen stats, and who knows how they know what is real with stats, but stats basically say that somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of all couples will experience infidelity. The pain, the hurt of betrayal, of unfulfilled dreams and expectations, of knowing that moment when you stood in front of friends and family, in front of a church somewhere, or in front of a pond or a barn, and said, hey, for the rest of my life, it's you and me. It's just us. I'm committed. And then one of you said, well, not so much. There's something to be avoided and something that God calls us to choose a better way.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check out all our content and podcasts on Orchard Hill Plus. You can find that and so much more on our website or the Orchard Hill app.